Good afternoon, folks. This is the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. I'm your host, Glenn Glasper, affectionately known as Mr. Dollar Out of a Dime. Happy New Year. First of all, I want to say that, but then I want to say welcome to my guest, Mr. Brian Joubert.
Thank you, brother.
Listen, thank you for being back, man. This the third time, right?
Yeah.
Third time's a charm.
I love it, man. I love it.
Listen, again, I want to thank you for being, back on the show, man. I know every time we get a chance to sit down, you always have some great wisdom and knowledge to share with the folks. So I appreciate you coming, having a conversation with me again. What I'm going to tell him after the show is that I have him come sit down with me this many times so I can get some of his inside secrets, So y'all get a chance to get it too.
That's the beautiful thing, man. I give it out.
Right.
Give it out.
Good stuff, man. I want to say I appreciate what you do, man. I watch, your shows. You're always on the morning show with Michael.
Yeah.
And you're always sharing some wisdom and sharing knowledge, man. And I hope folks are paying attention because a lot of times people miss that information and they're behind the 8 ball and they don't know how to catch up with it. So we want to definitely get you guys to keep up with Mr. Brian Joubert and all the information that he's going to be sharing. He's actually going to be one of our major speakers at the event coming January 19th, and we'll talk about that. So tell the folks who you are, man. I don't want to steal your thunder.
No, man. Like I said, I talk all the time. So look, if you get it right, I'm good with it. Hey, so basically everybody, man, I'm Brian Joubert, the tax man, but AKA Rich Boy.
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
And people know me as Rich Boy now through the branding, through the website, through social media, and not from and like I always clear this up with people because they're like, oh, that's real arrogant, that's this, that's that, But say, if you find out the meaning behind Rich Boy, and Rich Boy actually stands for really interested and caring how businesses operate internally.
I love that. I love that.
And it's because if you don't have the foundation of your business in place, if the internal infrastructure is not solid, then everything else is going to crumble.
Absolutely.
And the thing about it is it's no different than anything else. It's no different in a relationship. If the internal infrastructure is not good, your relationship is going to crumble.
That's right.
If your house and the foundation is not good, the house is going to crumble. So it's the same with business. And that's where it came from. It was a play on words because, first of all, my mindset and my lifestyle pertain to riches.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But then I just played on words with it to now when me getting into the arena of helping people is showing you how to build your business inside out. So I'm 22 years in the tax business now, over 30-year entrepreneur, and I always say a professional traveler and a devoted semi-vegan.
So listen. Hey, if y'all ever heard me say before that I'm a semi-vegan, he's inspired me.
Semi-vegan, baby.
See, Brian gonna tell you, when we get to talking, a lot of his stuff that y'all hear me say, I got it from him.
But it's so funny. Everybody be like, "What's a semi-vegan?"
Right.
Everybody want to know. Everybody want to know. They like catch it, But now, what I tell people, the beauty of the semi-vegan thing now is understanding small victories.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, I've been eating meat for 30 years. I've been eating this. I'm about to go vegan. Man, anything you've been doing for 30 plus years or whatever, it's hard to
It's gonna be hard.
just quit something and get into something else. So once again, take small steps. We understand small concepts, small steps, concept, and everything else.
Absolutely.
Once again, if you become a semi-vegan and start moving toward it, eventually you graduate to vegan.
Right.
That's your goal. So, that's part of it as well, those small victories.
And that's powerful too, man. When I talk about mindset and you talk about small victories, even from a perspective of, we're talking semi-vegan, but that even in a sense shifts your mindset to even the possibility of being able to go that way. And what you said that was also powerful is the small victories. When people look at starting a business or growing something, they look at the giant leaps oftentimes that they believe that they have to take to get to the next level, as opposed to looking at the step by step. I was listening to something where it says you don't have to do things extraordinarily well. You just have to do ordinary things some kind of way. I'm trying to put it together. I know but just being consistent about it, you know what I mean? Yeah. And having those small victories consistently. Yeah. So as an entrepreneur for 30 years, what kind of challenges? I'm gonna take you back 30 years, probably back when we both had hair.
Yeah.
What were some of the challenges that you faced starting a business? And did you start out in the tax business 30 years ago? I mean, was that your first dream?
Tax business, like I said, I'm in the tax business 22 years.
Okay.
But I think one of my biggest challenges was because my first legitimate business that when you're talking about making money and being successful, probably was my courier business.
Okay.
And I had my partner who was my best friend at the time. We had actually started a courier business and we started a janitorial business. And so at that one point we was running those businesses simultaneously.
Oh wow.
And like I said, so when you talk about being successful in building business and contracts and things like that, for somebody that's 23, 24 years old, we was way ahead of the game. When I think about it now, like when I think about 23, 24 year olds and where they at in business, and I'm thinking about where we were ahead of the game. But that was the gift and the curse because we were young, we were hungry, we didn't have a lot of responsibilities. But on the flip side is when you're dealing with people, probably the biggest challenges is when you're 24, 25 years old, and you going to people and you're trying to get business, they're not taking you as serious.
Wow.
So now we got a courier business, but we going to, a major mortgage company at one time, Countrywide Mortgage. I know you've been around the game for a while.
Yeah.
So back then, that industry was hot.
Yeah, definitely.
Industry was hot. The real estate industry, mortgage industry was hot. So one thing by then, people were using couriers to bring
Right. They were doing it electronically,
emails wasn't that strong. So it wasn't like faxing no documents.
Yes,
it was running that courier over there. So we actually found a niche market.
Wow.
In that, and so the thing was, but then when you go to those bigger companies and you walk in and, because we were the primary face of the company. So we walking in at 25, talking to a company like Countrywide, that's, $1 billion company and some of these other companies and some of the Bank of Americas. And, and you're talking to these people, they looking at you and thinking, you just kind of a hustler.
Right.
And so if anything, I think that was part of the issue is really just not understanding how to get money to get fleet vehicles. And with those companies, they want, a $500,000 insurance coverage.
Oh, wow.
And so just not knowing those things early on. So that probably was some of our biggest challenges dealing with the big boys and not having the knowledge to know where to get the things we need for those type of companies.
And that's again, I'm always excited to sit down and have a conversation with you, man, because you're always open, you unpack things, and I want to make sure folks that are watching get really what you're saying about even taking a chance. Like you look at somebody that's probably watching that may be 22 or 23 that's wanting to get started in a business, but they're looking at, again, that giant leap, like going into a Bank of America or going into a business like Countrywide as a barrier, as opposed to just even taking a chance. So in that, I imagine you overcame those obstacles once you figured out how to do it. But you probably wouldn't have figured it out if you hadn't tried, though, right?
Yeah, well, you gotta try.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, when I hear people say they're scared of rejection, I'm like, if you're scared of rejection, you don't love growth.
Absolutely.
So don't tell me you want to be big. When people say, "Oh, I want to get my company in, I want to be rich, I want to be successful," and you can't do them both.
Right.
You can't be scared of rejection and want to have growth.
Wow.
Because within that process, you're going to have it. And part of your growth is going to be because of your rejection.
Yes.
And the thing is that, you got to have a chip on your shoulder. You got to have a chip on, and people think something's wrong with that. With having a chip on your shoulder, and they think that's negative energy, and that may be negative energy, but it becomes positive if it fuels you to bigger things.
Absolutely.
And so what happens is, I tell you, I got a lot of chips on my shoulder.
I need to get some of them chips.
That keeps me hungry. So when you tell me no, you can't do it, what it does is it motivates me now. So now I got a chip on my shoulder to show you.
Right.
And it's just nothing new. And see, we say, but that's negative, and you got to let that go. Sometimes you're gonna hold that because it's not nothing done with us. It's when you hear the Magic Johnsons and you hear the Schultz with the coffee company,
Starbucks.
Starbucks. And he got turned on.
We're gonna need some commercial sponsorship from Starbucks.
Yeah, but I love his story. He got
Yeah.
turned on by banks a million times.
Yes,
But kept trying.
yes.
But what happens is that just fuels you to like, you know what? I'm gonna show everybody they made a mistake.
Right,
You know,
right,
we can
right.
relate that to sports. So when we think about it, when we think about Tom Brady. Tom
Right.
Brady was a 6th round pick, but he figured that he should have been a 1st rounder. He came in with a chip on his shoulder.
Yes.
You know,
yes,
and
yes.
that fueled him to greatness now. Now he's arguably the best quarterback of all time because he played with that chip. The person that tell you that is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers
Yeah.
will tell you that he came in with that chip on his shoulder.
I think I heard him say something like that.
Because
So
he figured he should have been drafted before some other people.
Right,
So that
right,
was the
right.
thing. So it don't have to be a negative thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think with me, that was one of the things that helped me catapult to the next level because every time I got a rejection, every time I got, you can't do that, or your background this, or your background that won't allow you to do so,
Right.
that was the thing that really fueled me.
Yeah. You know, and that's something that I really, really, you know, when I talk about mindset, you know, I always look at the challenges that people build, the walls that they build for themselves. And, you know, the obstacles that they believe they're facing are things that they've created in their own mind.
Yeah.
You know, so when you talk about having a chip on your shoulder, I guess that's, you know, that may be kind of my story. I didn't know it was a chip, but, you know, I'm going to have to wear my chips proudly now.
Exactly.
Because there's been so many times, you know, even doing real estate, getting started, I you know, I had some people that I wanted to work with, and they was like, "Nah, little fella, you're not ready for this."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This for the big boys, you know. And even in that, I continue to drive myself. And you know, I studied at Carlton Sheets course for a whole year
Okay.
before I bought my first deal, and that was, I guess, something that fueled me to say that if I can do it one time, I could probably do it 100 more times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what would you say to the beginning entrepreneur or the person that's looking to start, I mean, just taking a chance of stepping out on faith? What would you say to them, some of the things that they should do to begin that walk of faith?
Well, one of the things that we do, we take it lightly because we hear it all the time, but I don't think people give it enough credit when you say find a mentor. You know, that's something that's
Yes.
so important.
Yes.
Is finding a mentor.
Yes.
You know, somebody that's done what you're trying to do. Because they can tell you this is what you shouldn't be doing.
Right.
You know,
right,
because
right, right.
it's better to know what you don't know than go forward with what you have.
Yes. Yes.
Because the thing is that, you know, you probably, you know, in most situations, you know a little something,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you don't know a lot of something.
Right.
You know, and that's the things that really stop you. You know, and so my thing is getting a mentor, because if I can tell you, you know, with me being in business, I've had a home office. I had my first office, tax office, was in the bedroom of a home.
Right. Right.
Then I
right.
built the
That was
office.
my first real estate office.
Yeah, I built the office. I built the office on the back of my house.
Oh, okay.
After that.
Okay.
I had a strip mall office. I had an office park office. I had a standalone office.
Wow.
I had a strip,
Wow.
you know, in a major strip mall. So my thing is that if you're trying to get in business and you're doing something, and I've done all of those different things, I can probably give you some insight on anything you're trying to do.
Definitely.
I've had a mobile, you know, situation.
Right. Okay.
You know, with my tax business. So my thing is that if I'm your mentor and you say, well, Brian, I'm thinking about, you know, opening up an office. I've had a virtual office.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
and I'm thinking about, you know, getting a storefront office, and I can say, well, no, that might not be a good move, because 90% of the people don't look at that as a viable opportunity to walk into. You know, so that's going to save you money. This is where you need to start at.
Right.
So
right.
once
right.
again, I didn't save you 3 years of a lease, which is major money. You know, you getting in a situation that's not really conducive to you right now. You know, and I could tell you the pros and cons of saying, all right, well, you know what, a virtual office would be better for you right now. You know, and so that's why having a mentor is so important, because I can tell you the steps. All right, you know what, this is the demographics of people, because I've done that before.
Wow.
So this is
Wow.
the type of people you need to cater to. Everybody not your client, because see, everybody jump into stuff sometimes and thinking, oh, 'cause it's 6 million people in Atlanta.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
but-
Everybody gonna be my customer.
But 500,000 of them are your clients.
Right,
You
right.
trying to hit 6 million, so you didn't wasted your time with 4.5 million, and you're not focused on that, because I've been through it. I can narrow it down for you.
Yes.
And that's the important. So it saves you so much money, but the most important thing is time.
Absolutely.
And so that's the things that people don't understand, because when you come into it, you think money a lot of times. But as me being a mentor and understand, I tell you, your time is your most valuable asset.
Absolutely.
So now if I teach you that and you respect your time, you can get more things done. And so that's probably one of the main things that people gotta understand. And the second thing is do your research.
Yes. Yes.
Research. Like you said, you studied that culture sheet for a year, which led you into it. But know what it did? It made you so much more comfortable.
Oh, yes.
When you did your first deal.
Yes.
See, most people jump into stuff and they've done no research. They've studied nobody before them. No videos, no self-development, no seminars, no nothing. So when they jump into it, they're not comfortable with it. So that's why entrepreneurship seems like a fear. But anything in life that you're comfortable with is not fearful to you.
That's right.
Anything you've been doing for a long time is not fearful to you.
Absolutely.
And so that's what and everything is real life situations. Like when people think business, they think this is something new that started, but it's just like swimming. I learned how to swim a long time ago.
Yeah.
I can jump in water and have no fear.
That's right.
Because I know how to swim because I've been doing it for so long. But if you haven't been swimming for so long, and I say, just jump in the water, it ain't even over your head.
Right.
You're like, I'll be like, you can stand up in it. I ain't jumping in it.
Right. My wife like that.
Yeah, I ain't jumping in it. But the thing is, you haven't been doing it that long. You haven't did it before. So it's fearful to you, even though it's easy, because when you jump in, it's here.
Right.
You stand up, look at that, but you still don't want to do it.
Yes.
That's the same thing with business. The thing is that it becomes easier once you master it.
Wow.
And the thing is that we don't take time to really learn, master, and really just, infest ourselves with the knowledge from it.
That's right. That's right. Y'all get that? Learn to master the money game. That's what we're going to be teaching.
Everybody want to, everybody respect the master.
Yes.
But don't want to do what it takes to become a master.
Man, bruh. Bruh, look, we're going to have to make sure we get some taglines to run that.
Oh, yeah. Sell those taglines.
Right. But that is absolutely the truth. A lot of times I talk to people about business and opportunities and things like that. Oftentimes they say, well, that's not for me, or that's too hard, or that's only for a certain type of person. But I understand it's because they've never been in those situations before. They've never even tried those things. But they want to become that person that's at the next level. But oftentimes they're not always willing to do what gets you to the next level because of fear.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time, people are not willing to do it. And like you said, because of fear. But the thing about it is, what I tell people, because fear is probably the number one reason why people don't grow or don't get started.
Wow.
But the thing about it is, if you put yourself in environments of people who are successful and done it, you realize, the only reason we have fear a lot of times is because it's stuff that we're not familiar with.
Yes.
And we don't know it's possible.
Right.
But if I start hanging in different circles, so that's why I teach environment. Environment in circles is so important, because if I'm in a circle of people that are successful or that overcame fear, and I start hearing his story that he was scared, but he overcame, and now he's successful. And then I hear another person say, well, man, in the beginning I was scared, but I did it, and I just jumped in, and and then I'm in an environment where the next person, it was a little scary at first, but I knew I had to do it if I wanted to do this. So now I done heard 5 stories of people just like me, but they did it.
Yes.
Know what I'm realizing now? That, all I got to do is do it now. Because see, the joy is on the other side of fear.
Right.
The joy is on the other side of fear. And the thing is, sometimes you just have to jump in. And I talk about, Will Smith, which I have, personal experience, not me personally, but people I've dealt with skydiving.
Right.
And have you heard the Will Smith skydive story?
Yeah.
He talked about how scared he was to do it. And he second guessed it. And when he did it, it was one of the most blissful things that ever happened for him. And that was his thing. He said, on the other side, fear is bliss.
Definitely.
It's all your joy, but you think about all of the things. I tell you, now you go back to real life situations, things you were scared to do and you finally did it. You was like, oh, that was amazing.
Right.
It's the same with business. And I always talk about John. Like, John wanted to skydive. He kept telling me, BP, I want to do it. So we brought him. And after he finished, He said, B, he said, man, I thank you so much, man. He said, that was one of the greatest experiences in my life. He said, I was so scared. He said, y'all don't even realize how scared I was. He said, but what it did was now, he said, my thinking, as soon as I finished that, he said, my thinking was, if I did that and overcame that and it was so great, what else am I missing out on? He said, so my thought process is now I shouldn't fear anything because now I know the consequences of doing.
Wow.
And I was like, bro, that's powerful.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I did this last week, but I think about things like that, and I hope y'all hear me. I think about things like that, like skydiving and hiking and things like that. Where we grew up, and in the community that I grew up in, where they said that's not for us. We don't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And even flying in an airplane, like. And my family, they'll probably watch this. I'm gonna talk about y'all. I would say 85% of my family have never flown in an airplane.
Wow.
Yes, because they're right.
Wow.
They've never flown in an airplane, and I grew up with that limited mentality of like, airplane's gonna crash, but we get in the car and drive every single day.
Yeah. Well, you have 100 times
right.
crashes in the car.
And I look at things like that where the environment that we grow up in and the people, like you said, we associate ourselves with things, and we get around those people that have that limited thinking, which boxes us in to a limited possibility of what we could do. One of the things I always say is that, what I got from Napoleon Hill is that the only limitation to the minds are those that we acknowledge. And those things are created through the environment that we allow ourselves to be within. And, I'm like talking about jumping out of an airplane. I haven't done it yet. One time I was like 24, 25. I actually went to a place to jump out the airplane, was waiting on these guys to show up, and the place was closed. And I was like, thank God.
Yeah. I was going to do it, but y'all, I was going to be flipping. I was going to be jumping. I was going to be throwing up the peace sign.
Hey, look, I talked about how I was going to jump out that plane for a whole 2 months. But I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But you're right. When you do things and when you put yourself in positions to overcome those fears, and you realize on the other side of that, I should have did this a long time ago.
Yeah.
And how much I would have grown, and how much I would have known or gained from just the experience alone if I had just given it a try.
Yeah. But the most important thing you said is environment, and the perfect example you had is the environment you grew up in. And if anybody know me, I grew up in Holly Grove, one of the worst areas in New Orleans. And Detroit, New Orleans is pretty much similar.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But I tell people, I don't knock the people in those environments because I come from there and I was that person.
Yes.
But what happened was I moved to Atlanta.
Yes.
And I changed my environment.
Exactly.
And so what happened was, because everything that I may say about people now in those environments, I was limited. I might have been probably a little bit more. My mind was expanded because my dad lived in California, so I did get to travel a little bit more.
Okay.
But still, with that, I think before I got to Atlanta, I was street smart, but I wasn't exposed at all.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know they had more than 2 fish.
Right.
We grew up with catfish in New Orleans, so catfish and trout was a good weekend. I had a good weekend if I got some trout.
Right.
But I got here and I wasn't exposed. I didn't know nothing about no salmon, whiting,
right.
none of that kind of stuff, and so many other things, because I wasn't exposed. So that means I didn't have an opportunity to expand.
Yes.
And so now I got around people that when I got here, it was like, man, people talking about buying houses and starting business and trying to get a master's
That's
degree.
what happened to me, right?
Those things, like, wow. I mean, on the regular.
Yeah.
You ain't meet nobody here and there, but then I'm calling home, man, guess who got shot? And so my environment changed.
Bro, our story is exactly the same.
My mindset. And so I tell people it was crazy, and I tell this story a lot of times about when I rolled up here, I had my Cutlass. And I had a Cutlass, back then, when I ain't gonna date myself, my age, but if you had a Cutlass with Trues and Vogue, the end of that.
Oh yeah, I had one.
But I came here in Atlanta, had a 2-tone Cutlass. They had the rag and the vinyl tie. I had the nice vinyl shining. I
think you're about to tell my story.
And like I'm meeting with cats, And, you know, he got a Lexus and he's like, we waiting on my boy. You know, he's like, we waiting on my boy. His boy pull up in a Benz.
Right.
Dad, I'm parking 10 blocks away. You know, but it changed my thought process.
Yes.
Damn, these legitimate cats, because where I come from, if you got a Benz or a Lexus or a Beamer, you're in the streets.
Yeah.
But these cats want to meet on some business stuff. They ain't no street cats, but so it changed my whole perception about success and acquiring.
Yes.
You know, not just material, but understanding that success can be obtained.
Absolutely.
You know, on a legitimate thing. But because I changed my environment, it gave me an opportunity to grow.
Wow.
You know, and so that's why I tell people one of the reasons why I loved Atlanta, because Atlanta basically did wonders for my mindset, you know, for my psyche and everything else.
I'm gonna use your line that I stole from you a long time ago. I'm gonna say it before he said it. How do you say it? Well, I say Detroit put it in me, but Atlanta got it out of me.
Yeah, New Orleans put it in me. It was in me all the time. New Orleans is a hustle city.
Right.
It ain't no different than a Detroit and a Chicago, because if you come from the environments, you have to hustle.
Yes.
You have to do those things to strive. So I had hustle in me. I had game in me. I had success in me. But because my success was seen at one level, I didn't know it was in. And so, but when I got to Atlanta, it pulled it out of me. So it, like Detroit, you didn't really have to work hard to now acquire it.
Right. Exactly.
You just had to learn how to manifest it.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's all it was. You just had to get the water in to let it grow.
You know, it's amazing the story you tell about your Cutlass. So I grew up, you know, I had a Cutlass and all that, Regal and all that.
That was my first one. That's I got rid of the Cutlass. Right. I got the Regal.
I moved here and, you know, I'm thinking I'm in the South. You know, they got, you know, cars similar to that. And I bought a Cadillac. I always wanted a Cadillac. You know, it was an old school Cadillac. Well, I guess at the time it was old school. And here, you know, my folks, I'm pulling up, you know, everybody car, they got new cars. I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing wrong? When I drove that Cadillac back to Detroit, I'm like, everybody loved that car. When I came back here, they was like, what is that, man? So I quickly got rid of the Cadillac. Right. Yeah. And like you said, like the conversations that I start having with people was, you know, their alma mater. I'm like, what is that? The colleges they went to, the degrees that they had. You know, I got a job with a company, man. I think I might have been the only one that worked there that didn't have a degree. But I was making more money than I ever made in my life, so I didn't care, you know. But I mean, what it did was it changed my mindset. You know, the people I started hanging out with, like I went out with some guys. They told me to meet them at what's the name of that club? I can't remember the name of it. It was over on Wesley Chapel, a long time ago. And they said, yeah, come meet us. You know, dressed kind of nicely. You know, we going out. So I come and I got my 3-piece suit on, my royal blue suit, my royal blue alligator shoes. But I pulled up, they was like, what is that?
Who's that pimp coming in here?
I'm like, that's not what y'all do here? They was like, no, man, you doing too much. You know, but it was definitely a change of mindset for me. You know, I would have those conversations. I still have some of those conversations. When I call home and, you know, the conversation is who got shot, you know, what's going on in the hood and that kind of thing, you know. And I'm just like, I guess this is another thing that I would kind of try and see if we can shed some perspective on. For folks that are still inundated by that environment, what are some of the things that could be done to kind of change the perspective within that environment? I mean, what would you say to something like that?
But one thing I try to get people to realize too, you ain't gonna save everybody. You know, it's unfortunate, but you're not gonna save everybody. So you know, it gets to a point where some people at a particular age, if they're in those communities, and I'm not just talking about in New Orleans or Detroit, you know, Atlanta, LA, wherever. You know, Memphis. You know, when some people basically are too far gone. You know, some people are too far gone and don't want nothing different and ain't gonna try nothing different. And you can't save them. Like I said, I want everybody that want to be wanted.
Wow.
You know, and so if I go to those neighborhoods,
let me write that down too, y'all.
If I go to those neighborhoods and you say, B, I want more. I need, you know, this shit is old. You know, and so I'm like, I ride with you all day. But one of the things we have to do is we have to expose those communities to people of success that come from those.
The question then becomes for, and I know we're talking about, the neighborhood and how we can help people and how we can grow that. So do you think it would take more? You said you have to start it from the outside and help those that want to be helped. Would it take educating a lot more people that are outside the community and then taking them back to communities like that? Would you think that'd be?
Well, when I said outside, is the people who's been successful, deemed as successful. Those people outside the community got to come back in and talk to them. So, because the thing is that you can't. It's hard to educate and motivate within the picture.
Okay,
exactly. Because why? And I say this, and this is what I'm talking about as for the perfect example. When you think about kids and their parents, they love their parents to death. But when your parents say you could be successful and you could have whatever you want, they're thinking, well, why are you a receptionist?
Wow.
So realistically, they thinking that. So when you telling me all of this, but you are the receptionist, and I'm not knocking the reception, I'm not knocking parents, but realistically, a kid's mindset is not going to gravitate towards success.
That's real.
The thing is, if it was as easy as you said or possible, why you're not doing it?
Absolutely.
And why all my friends' parents are not doing it?
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important for somebody to come from the outside and for them to show. Why? Because people, if you got kids, you already know. You say, well, I told you the same thing. You didn't listen to me, but I let you talk to Brian, and you're going to tell me everything Brian said.
That's what happens.
You're going to tell me everything Brian said. And I told you this 10 times.
Exactly.
That's the same concept.
Yes.
So sometimes we need those outside voices to validate what we've been saying and talk about. And so that's why the outside, and that's why that's so important. So even with teachers, most of the time kids don't respect teachers when they talk about growth and success, because they like, if that's why you're a teacher, why you struggle, why your car, why you don't have a BMW, why you don't have a Benz, why you don't have that. So they equate that. So we got to understand we're dealing with young minds. We're dealing with young minds, and that's the logic of young minds. It's perceptional. Right. And so when you're not riding a Benz, then you're not successful to them. Right. You say what you want. And if somebody told me this, because even when I had my Ford Explorer, I had two locations at that time, and I was doing pretty well. But I still had the Ford Explorer. And somebody told me, like, B, you can have $1 million in the bank. He said, them niggas ain't gonna listen to you. He was my language. He said, because you rolling up in that. Right. And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Man, I mean, I got to buy a beer.
That's crazy, And so, and I'm not telling people to advocate to go out there and buy luxury stuff just to impress people. You got to do it basically when you don't even realize it's missing. So, but it does matter.
It does.
It does matter, and I won't lie, because I tell people, even when I first got my first Benz, I didn't have a whole lot of conversation after that.
Right.
Because when I rolled up in people's mind, it's like, oh, he's doing things.
It's funny you mentioned that. I had a mentor. I want to give him a shout out. Steve Traeger. He probably will never see this show. Steve Traeger was a guy I used to go to his house and fix his computers when I got laid off from my job back in 2002. I used to go to his house and fix his computers, and I would drive up to his house, started off in actually it was in the Cadillac. I was driving the Cadillac to his house. And then, in the transition, I went from a Cadillac to a Benz. I got a Benz then. And, he was like, well, how'd you get the Benz? I told him how I got the Benz. I took over payments from somebody else. And he was like, okay, so he started paying attention more to what I was talking about, because I was, doing real estate full time. And then I went and bought a house. So I got rid of the Benz. And then I started riding up in a little red Mitsubishi Mirage. And then, from that perspective and thinking that I built a relationship with him. So now I can have a conversation with him about becoming an investor. And he said, Glenn, there's no way in the hell I would invest with you. I said, well, why do you say that? Because I'm thinking we got a good relationship. And he said, there's no disrespect to you. He said, but my perception, or anybody that I would do business with, and this guy, he's a millionaire. He said that the car you drive is kind of indicative of how much money you make. And I was like, well, I just bought a house so why should it matter the kind of car I drive? He said, you don't drive your house around.
You ain't putting up on nobody in that house.
Right. Like, but my house is almost $300,000. He's like, no, you're not driving the house around.
Yeah.
You know, so what he did was he opened up my mind, you know, and he said, don't go, because he had like 2 Lexuses, you know, but he's like, you know, I would never buy a brand new car.
Yeah.
You know, he would buy his cars used, you know, or pre-owned or whatever it is, and he paid cash for them. He said, but I would never buy a brand new car. And he would, you know, gave me some, you know, insight on taxes and things like that, how to save, you know, when you buy a used car. But he talked to me about how to buy a prepaid lease, you know, where you pay a certain amount of money and you pay the lease in full for the time you have it. So I went and I bought a Chrysler 300 when the Chrysler 300 first came out. And I drove up in the car and he was very impressed. He was very impressed. He's like, now I'll do business with you. I said, so that changed.
But it is perception. You know, perception. And it's a difference between perception and real.
Yes.
You know, it's a difference between perception and real. Because see, when I say perception, when I finally got my Benz, because people told you I had a Volkswagen Golf that I thought the world of, and I had a Ford Explorer at the same time. But I had, at that point, I moved to 3 locations.
Wow.
But I kept saying, the time ain't right. If you ask anybody that know me, I'll say the time ain't right. I say, when I get a Benz and whatever I get, I won't even know that money's gone.
Right.
I won't even know that money's gone.
Absolutely.
You know, and so when I got to that point, I made the transition. So the perception I gave now was he's doing it, but it was real.
Right.
So what people do is they try to create the perception, but not living real, because now you're looking like you have money, but you're hurt and you're broke. But we can't do that. So that's not what we're selling here.
Right.
You know, it got to be a situation where you're ready to do it. But it matters. People talk about, well, it shouldn't. It should, because you see, it's a contradictory statement when we talk about it shouldn't matter, but then you come back and say first impressions are, you know, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. Okay. You know, but then you basically go to meet somebody on a deal, but you're dressed all up. That's a first impression.
Absolutely.
So what would make that different other than the price tag with a car? You know, women get made up. Put the nice outfit on, the lashes, whatever they do. That's a perception.
That's a perception. Absolutely.
So that's the same thing. Men, you know what? Oh yeah, I'm about to go do this deal. I got to make sure that I'm right for this deal. When I walk in, I got the tailor suit on. I got the shoes. I got everything straight. That's a perception.
Absolutely.
So all of that goes hand in hand. You know, and so we have to understand that, that definitely means something. You know, and the thing, I want to make sure I add this, because, you know, we advocate y'all going broke to try and impress people. But one of the other things I want to make sure I mention that he told me, he said, now he when I brought that car to show it to him, he said, so who's paying for the car? And I said, I am. He said, well, this is how he talked to me. He said, well, why the hell are you doing that? I said, well, you told me to buy a new car. And he said, well, what's paying for the car? And what he shared with me is, he said, if you don't have a stream of income that's set aside, designated to cover the expense of that car, then you shouldn't have it. You see, I'm like, but I can afford it. He said, but if you're paying for it, if you're working hard to pay for that car, then you're not working smart. You're not setting up yourself to create wealth. You know, and I was like, wow. And that's serious, because you know what? And I was going to speak on that earlier when we mentioned it, because I tell you, for the reason why I've never, when people say I don't want a car note, I'm like, that never bothered me. Because I've always made sure I allocated and had enough money to where a car note wasn't even an issue. But secondly, I learned early on is my business pay for my car. So it's not like, well, Brian, you got to worry about that. If a car note don't get paid, I look at my business and like, all right, why so I'm not even worried about my personal finances. I'm not worried about my personal finance. So if you don't have another stream or something, you know, and I just finished listening to, I had read, you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad a few times, but I got it on audio book, and I listened to it again, and I'm like, boy, this book here is something. You know, but then when he talked about his wife having a luxury car, but she didn't get a luxury car to the money from the investment properties was enough to where they didn't even have to see the money.
Absolutely.
You know, and
Absolutely.
so the money from the investment properties paid for her luxury car.
Yeah.
So it never becomes now an issue of being broke.
Right.
Because
right.
you're not dependent on your money to do so. And that's the difference.
That opens up the idea. Now, one other thing I want to mention about that car he told me, because after I bought that car, I went to Tennessee to look at some investment properties, and he asked me, well, so how? He said, how's the car on the road? And I said, well, I didn't drive my car. He said, I rented. I told him I rented a car. He said, what the hell you buy the car for? Having this mindset, I'm thinking, well, I didn't want to put those miles on my car, so I rented a car. He said, if you buy the car, drive it. And if it has too many miles on it, just go buy another one. And I was like, wow. Just from that right there, it's like, open your mind up to not limit yourself to having issues with maintenance or whatever. He said you could the money that you paid for the rental car would have paid for the maintenance.
Paid for the maintenance
on the car. I said, wow. So I look at that, and we talk about money and we talk about incomes, and that's where I know this is a real life real estate investing show, but we talk about money, so y'all stay with us.
Yeah. Right. If people ain't feeling this conversation, they ain't ready for no level. They ain't ready for nothing.
So I look at where we talk about wealthy people have 7 streams of income, and when you look at that covers just about every bill you have.
Yeah.
Even from the minimal perspective, you got lights, gas, insurance, car payment, house note, I guess your entertainment bill, and that's 6. You got one other one, whatever it is you choose.
Yeah, well, I guess your entertainment is the same as fun, because I was like, I got to have a fun account.
Exactly.
Or you travel.
Right. So you should have a stream of income that covers every single area, so it never becomes an issue, like you said, with your personal finance. We're talking about mastering the money game, y'all. So this is something that y'all definitely need to be paying attention to.
But when you're talking about mastering the money game and the 7 streams of income, I always like to set this clear. Because you hear a lot of people say, well, they say you got to have multiple streams of income. If you don't have multiple streams of income, you're winning. You're losing. Most people are not winning with multiple streams, because most people don't understand the concept behind multiple streams. And it's so funny because you'll talk about me for the different things that I do, but you'll give Puffy and Steve Harvey major credit.
Right.
For doing this. Steve on everything. He got TV shows, he got the books, he got the talk show, he got the radio show, he got this, he's doing this, Puffy doing this, he doing that, You'll praise them for having 7 streams, but then you'll say, well, hey, you got a radio show, you got this, like it's a bad thing for me. But what you got to understand, what people don't understand is you got to master something first.
Yes.
See, nobody, like with me, with the speaking now, the books, the everything that I have, it basically came from me mastering taxes.
Yes.
So when I became a tax expert, my demand now, can you teach me how to do taxes?
Right.
Can you come speak on taxes?
Absolutely.
Okay, so now with me getting the book now, basically I became a business guru now.
Right.
So now I can, but once again, it was fueled from taxes.
Definitely.
And dealing with people that have business taxes. So now with the book is that, can you do a book sale can you do a book signing? Right. So now can you do a radio show?
Yes.
All that came from me mastering something first. So my other streams of income came from the mastery.
Wow.
And Puffy mastered the music industry first.
Yes.
And every other opportunity presented itself. Steve Harvey mastered being a comedian. Then everything else came from that. So mastery creates opportunity.
Wow.
Because see, when you sell value, when you master something, that means you have value.
Yes.
When you have value, money find you. You don't chase money. Because people want to be on your team.
Oh no, B, you giving them too much, man. You giving them too much, man. You gotta say some of this for the event.
Hey man, I got a lot, man. I got more.
You giving them too much, man.
But we don't sell. So when people say, I had one girl tell me she had 13 businesses. I just put my head down. Hey, man, look, this was the thing. It was an event that we went to. I had my cable network, and we were hosting an event that was for the fume industry. She always talked about how she got 13 businesses. She's doing this. I get a call at the event. Brian, I say, what's going on? I'm at the door and he saying it's $10. I said, all right. I said, well, you know what? I said, I'm busy. I got some people. I said, go ahead and pay the 10 and I'll just give it back to you. I don't have no cash on me. I said, all right, well, give me a minute. I said,
I'm gonna take a drink on that
again,
one.
So I tell people, 13 businesses to me is not impressive. Because see, even 5 businesses is not impressive to me if you're giving each one of them 20%.
Yes. Wow.
If you give it each one of them 20%, because you only realistically, we always say we give 110%, but realistically, the max you could give is 100.
Yeah.
Just do that great.
Right,
just give your full 100. And so even if you gave 20% to each business, 20% is a failing grade.
Absolutely.
Not only failing, miserable. 20% is a miserable grade.
That's right.
So I'm giving my business 20%. I'm giving this one 20% of my efforts.
Wow.
Bro,
wow.
So what kind of return I'm going to get with giving it 20% effort when we teach and preach entrepreneurship that you got to be a monster. You got to be a dog.
You
got to give it everything.
Yeah.
You got to give it a beast. You got to be a beast.
Yeah.
A beast means I'm giving it that full 10%. I mean, full 100%.
Right.
So I can't get it unless I'm an investor.
Yes.
And I invest 20%, I'm getting a 20% return.
Right.
And I'm sitting back doing nothing. Okay, that's cool. Man. But if I got 5 businesses that get 20%, I'm laughing. I'm laughing at you, and I'm trying to get it to narrow down because you can't be an expert in all of those things.
Right.
An expert means that you're highly, highly knowledgeable in your particular profession. And not to say that people are not in 5 things, but it's not likely.
Right.
It's not likely.
Right. Well, you said something, and you kind of checked me a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and disclose, be transparent. But you said something that was really major. Talking about mastering one thing. So that was what I believed I did. You'll tell me if I did or not. I believe I mastered real estate. I mastered investing in real estate, and I took, of course, some trial and error over time. But as a result of that, I am now doing funding for people, helping people get money for their businesses. I'm teaching people real estate investing. I'm helping people show them how to invest their money, how to get money and things like that. Even people with bad credit.
Yeah.
So that became all of a part of what I believe I mastered as a result of investing in real estate. So now, don't do me too bad, man, in front of all these people. But tell me, would that be what you considered something of mastery?
Yeah, because the thing is that all of that is in the same arena.
Okay.
All that's in the same arena.
Yeah, because I was like, man, I might need to get rid of something.
So when I say that, because with me starting out doing taxes, and then I became a business tax expert.
Okay.
Automatically, with me being a business tax expert, I'm going to deal with a lot of businesses. So what happens is I'm going to become knowledgeable in how to deal with businesses and how to run properly because I have expertise and experience in that. So your experience and your expertise in mastering real estate open up the doors because you say, well, you know what? I got to be a master in this real estate, but people are not really doing it like they want because they don't have money.
Right.
That opened up the door for now you to be in that.
Absolutely.
And so I tell people, when you selling value or you become a master of something is when people look for you.
Yes.
When people start saying, all right, you know what? I got to get this done. Call Glenn.
You're right.
Who can I call and do this? All right, call Glenn. So when you stop chasing money and money start finding you, you know you've mastered something. Because anybody that have mastered something, when they don't look for, that's why, how many Tiffany commercials you see?
Not one. Glad that you mentioned it.
And how many Tiffany's you ever hear? Tiffany's going out of business. Tiffany's mastered the art of high-end jewelry. Right. In a particular market.
Right.
Mercedes mastered that. You very see, especially high-end Mercedes, you very seldom see S-Class commercials or Maybach commercials or anything like that.
Right.
Because they've mastered that particular brand in that market. So people look for them.
Wow.
They don't have to go look for business.
You don't see a Bentley commercial or a Rolls Royce commercial.
But they're selling every day.
Wow.
Because they've mastered that. You know, and even things on smaller levels. Once you master something and you become that brand expert in it, you know, then you don't have to worry about money. I tell you, if you sell value, you don't ever have to worry about money.
That is...
Because people are going to come bring you their money.
Right.
You know, and so that's what the 7 streams of income is about. It's not about having, you know, all these different businesses.
Just jump from one to another and go over here and do
all
this.
These different businesses, and you know, and no, it's not that as much. It's basically utilizing the thing that you've perfected to basically branch off from there. Because if you think about the things with Puffy, alcohol and clothing is still mainstream in the music industry. So if you think about that, that's still big in the music industry. Steve Harvey, you know, somewhat he became a master comedian, but he took his in different things. But because of his personality and the thing he is, he's a brand ambassador for whatever he does.
Exactly.
Because the thing is, he's entertainment.
Definitely.
You know, his book can be entertainment. His movie is entertainment. Now, when he hosts the game shows, that's entertainment.
It
See,
is.
A game show, you look at it, but that's entertainment. And he makes the people laugh. He makes the audience laugh. Oh, Steve is so crazy, man. I watch the Family Steve be having me laughing. Because I mastered being a comedian.
Absolutely.
So I can get another entertainment aspect and get the same results.
And you think about it, like how many people would still be watching Family Feud if Steve Harvey was...
And not black people. And not black people, I tell you that. You know, we ain't gonna watch it in droves if Jeopardy want to get up their numbers with black community. I'd rather see get somebody get a black person to host on Jeopardy.
Chris Rock to host Jeopardy.
Chris Rock to host. You know, so it matters, man. So the whole 7 streams, I don't knock nobody. I'm not saying not have multiple businesses, but don't try to do them until you basically got money coming from another one.
Yes.
Because we'll jump into something else, and this one ain't even made no money.
Right.
You know, and you done started another business. Now you got a whole bunch of businesses that ain't making no money. Man. So you got 7 headaches.
You know, and that's something that brings me back to something that Robert Yancey told me. Shout out to Robert Yancey. We was at a meeting one day, and he pulled me to the side. He said, "Glenn, what's going on? You know, I mean, I don't know if I was looking like I was stressed or something, or what it was. But he was just like, what's going on? And I kind of told him, you know, what I was doing in business, doing this, that, and the other. And you know, he said, focus on the one thing that right now that's making you the most money, and let that invest in everything else. And I was like, wow. Okay, you know, and it kind of changed my perspective on what I was doing at the time, you know, and I mean, I got to say since then, you know, I focused on that one area, you know, that was doing the most at the time, and because, you know, I had, you know, trying to do the show and everything else that I'm doing, you know, Robert said, this is our local Steve Harvey show.
Yeah. Hey, but the thing about it is, though, man, your passion don't leave.
Right.
If it's your love and it's your passion, it don't leave.
Yes.
You might just need to put it in a little way right now. Get the money and come back and get it out.
Come back and do it.
You know, so that's all it is. You can put your passion on a little way, because if you love that and that's in your heart, then, but sometimes you got to do what make money. Because then I know I get people that all the time. They tell me, well, Brian, you know, I love doing this, but people keep asking me to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if they keep asking you to do that, I mean, there's a demand.
There's a demand for that, right?
The greatest thing you can have in business is a demand for your service or product.
Right.
When people are starving for a demand, so if somebody's demanding that, go ahead and ride it as long as you can to make the money until you're able to fuel your passion.
Definitely.
So take that money, sacrifice, and suck it up, because entrepreneurship is about sacrifice.
Right.
You know, we say, no, I don't like that. It's a different type of sacrifice. No, I don't like it, but I got to do it right now because it's bringing the money.
Definitely.
I save that money, stack that money, finance my passion.
Wow.
Now I got ultimate joy, because now my passion is financed. I got it rolling like I want. It's making money. I'm doing what I love. So I'm not working no more.
That's right.
Because the thing is that you ain't never working basically once you find something that's bringing you money and love.
That's true. That's true.
You know, because the thing is that waking up to do it don't feel like work.
Man.
You know, to read about it, think about it, ain't no work. You ain't running from nothing. See, when I tell people, oh, I can't wait to Friday.
Man,
Oh, man, I can't wait to Friday. I don't even want to pick up my phone.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
man, I got to detach.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
love something and it bringing you money, you ain't trying to detach.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You trying to find it.
Right.
So I'm telling you, you ain't living your destined life.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you running from something. You know, when you running, I got to get away. You know, I say, if you're trying to get away from your job and all that, then how you love your job, but you running from it. No, because if you love something, you're running to it.
That's right.
You know,
That's
so
right.
you got to find your passion, but your passion is not always the thing that's going to bring you profit.
You know, that brings me to one other thing I want to make sure we touch on. You know, being that it's a new year and all, what are some of the areas that you find? You know, I know a couple areas of people that, you know, they talk about their resolutions. They always talk about weight and money. What are some of the areas that you find that people in changing their idea or their resolutions? What are some of the areas that you find that people are trying to focus on the most and where they might miss it?
Probably the money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the money aspect. I think that's the number one thing that, and people try to say, well, you know, for the new year, I'm gonna do some things different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to live like this year. You know, I'm gonna be winning this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm living my best life. You're hearing that now. You know, and I'm living my best life. You know, and so I think that is probably the number one thing. Then you talk about the weight and the fitness.
Mm-hmm.
But I think once again, we don't understand the work you have to put in to do both of those things. We don't understand the commitment and the sacrifice that you have to do both of those things. So I think that's where they're missing it at. Because see, what happens is we're seeing people who's there and they make it look easy.
Wow.
Because I've made the commitment and the sacrifice already.
Definitely.
So yeah, it is easy now. But you got to put the work in now to get to the easy. See, everybody want to be at the top of the mountain, but nobody want to climb the mountain. And that's the thing, is everybody want to be on the mountain.
So when y'all hear that again, y'all hear me say that after he said it. He said it first. I'm gonna give him that credit.
Yeah, that's all right, man. Give me one credit. That's all I ask. You know, but that's
major.
everybody want to be at the top of the mountain, but nobody want to climb the mountain.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and because oh man, it's gonna wear me out.
You know, you made me think about it. How many people you see take pictures getting to the top of Stone Mountain?
Yeah. We made it. You know,
nobody take pictures on the way up, though.
Because it's hard.
Right.
Wait, let me get a break. Let me get a break. You know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's gonna be a tough time.
Yeah.
But the thing is once you get there, the gratification is beautiful.
Definitely.
You know, but
definitely.
not only that, now the confidence, because I know if I did it once,
I can do it again. Yeah. Yeah.
But I know easier ways to do it now.
Right,
so it gets easier.
Right.
But I don't want to sacrifice that one time.
Man.
You know, and this is something I hit somebody with, and they was like, "Wow," yesterday, and so they were like, "I never thought about it like that." And I said, you know, the best life. Everybody talk about, you know, for the new year they want to live the best life, and I tell people that's fine, but focus on your destined life. Because see, your best life might be a C. And a C is average. See, because if I'm living my best life right now and I don't have no money,
right.
I am living my best life. I'm going to Chattanooga.
Yes.
You know, I'm going to Chattanooga. That's my best life right now. Because that's but my destined life is to go to Hawaii.
Wow.
Or somewhere.
Wow.
So my destiny. So my thing is strive on living your destined life. Because if I'm a student and my best is a C. That's all I can do is a C. I've done my best.
Right.
But if I made a C, ain't nobody celebrating that.
Wow.
Ain't nobody celebrating that. How you could do better. That's average.
Wow.
But if my destiny is to make an A, that's what I'm striving for.
Yeah.
I want to live my destined life, not my best life.
See, I need to change that up. Don't just live your best life. Live your destined life.
Because my best life may be based on my finances.
And, you know, and I look at that, you know, even when people look at, when you say best life, and we talk about the possibility of it being average, some people get to a place that they probably have never been before, and they consider that to be their best life.
Yeah.
When they could be doing better. You know, so you're absolutely right.
But that's why it's
deep.
so important, again, being in environments.
Yes.
Because
yes.
you really don't realize what your destined life or your best life could be until you start getting around that. Because if you don't see it, you don't know it's possible. I'm traveling and I'm meeting people like, yeah, we're gonna do 45 days in Spain, and
Wow.
and so once we leave Spain, well, we're gonna send for my daughter and her boyfriend, and they're gonna come over, spend a couple of weeks, and then we're gonna go back to Arizona to our summer home for a couple of weeks, and then we got an international Mediterranean cruise that we're gonna leave out. I'm like, when they working?
Right.
And I'm like, but that's the mindset we have. Like, you gotta work to do those things.
Right.
When these
right,
people
right,
gone
right.
for 6 months.
Yeah.
When I went to Antarctica, bruh, when I first went, when my partner Derek called me and he said, like, B, what's happening? I said, all right. He said, well, go to the website, see which boat we want to, go on. As soon as I get to the website, the first section of the boats sold out.
Wow.
The first 3 rows, 25,000, 20,000 per person.
Wow.
Per person.
Wow.
So we riding, so I said, well, D, we going to do this one, which was pretty much half of what that was, but still on one whop, you're like, wow, but still like, all right, you know what? This is what I desire to do. I'm in a position, so, let's make it happen. So that showed me like how you got at least 10 boats for this price. So I'm like, man, people got money. So you can't be talking about, oh man, it's everybody hurting out here. I'm like, I ain't get that memo. And evidently all these people ain't get that memo neither. They missed that email. And so when you start getting around people and you get on the boat, but then you got a family of 6. A family of 6 on this cruise.
$25,000 each.
But at least 12,000.
Wow.
So at least 12,000. You got a family of 6 on the boat. That's on there. Multiple families.
Wow.
To where, this is like, wow, this is crazy. So when you start talking to these people, and what I found is, man, shout out to your industry, that 80% of the people that I talk to around the world that's doing these type of things deal with some type of real estate. I have some real estate, or something. And so like that industry is crazy.
Wow.
It's the road to riches, because it's something that's been here for 10 billion years, and it ain't going nowhere, because people always need somewhere to live, build, or do something. So land and real estate basically will always be a commodity.
Yes.
And so you got to get in around those type of people, man, that you listening to, like, to bring you back to life. Like, even if I get caught up in the people in my environment that say, oh, you doing it, you got this, you don't have that, and and you start thinking you got it going on, and you get around, you realize, man, I ain't doing nothing.
Right.
Like, what I'm putting aside for the year for travel, they use it on a trip. They use it on one trip. And that is crazy, man, just to hear people talk about going for 6 months, and and so that is so important, man. And so, my thing is living your destined life, and not just your best life.
And that again puts things in perspective. When you talk about, looking at a site, you see $25,000 and they sold out. It's like when I first heard you say you went to Antarctica, I was like, man, and I think I've been a few places, but I ain't never been to Antarctica. So it's things like that. You associate yourself with people like that have accomplished those things that want to get you to that level. And most people would, and I'm gonna say this, it is what it is. Some people would hate on something like that.
Yeah.
Like who he think he is because he did this, that, or the other. But I look at that as a for lack of a better way of saying, well, I would say it's not an abundance mentality. I was gonna say it's a broke mentality, but
that too.
When you don't celebrate people who have actually accomplished the things that you want to accomplish, and you said something earlier, talking about having a mentor. You have to get yourself somebody that has done something that you want to do. When you look at if they've done A, B, C, or D, and you position yourself to dislike them for some reason because they've accomplished that limits you. Like when people talk about, these people hating this, that, and the other, and people talking about people that have accomplished certain things, I'm like, how do people limit themselves mentally? Like when you talk about somebody else's accomplishments and you try to bring them down, you don't know that that's bringing you down as well.
Yeah, exactly.
that blows me away every time I hear people talk
in
like that.
2019, people, y'all goal should be to be a hate creator. Be a hate creator. They'll tell you, I've been saying this for years. I'm a hate creator. I strive to be a hate creator.
Right.
Because see, the thing is that most of the time when you get hated on, that means you're doing something great.
Yes.
You're doing something great.
Yes.
If you broke, most people ain't hating
They
on
ain't
you.
paying no attention to you.
They ain't paying you no mind.
But it's interesting you said that, though, because it's a lot of times the people that I see that are financially challenged, that same people hating on them.
Yeah,
what you did for people to hate on you?
Yeah, when I hear people say, "Oh, you just hating," like, why?
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 Right, what am I hating on you for? Like, that's a waste of energy.
So sometimes we have a misconception of what we are.
Right.
But that's why you got to get around those people, because if your circle,
Yeah.
if you, and see, and this is what I always say, is if you are a $10 earner, $10 hour earner, and everybody around you is earning $8, you're killing it.
You're killing it, yeah.
But $10 an hour is still under the poverty line.
Oh my God.
But in your circle, you're killing it. So now, if I got 99 people saying, "Man, yeah, you getting it and you doing this," but then you get that one person to say, "No, you ain't doing nothing. Oh, you just hating." 'Cause I got 99 versus 1.
Right.
So that's where that come from. Is because they don't expand their environment.
Wow.
If they don't expand their environment, then you killing it.
Let's go. Let's shed some light on that. Let's let's bring some clarity to what we're talking about, the poverty level. Just to put some perspective to the hate that some people might be getting, because people might be getting some hate for real.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, $15 an hour is what, $25,000 a year? Is it somewhere around there? Yeah. And that's what a lot of times, people are striving for that, that $15 an hour. Some people that I talk to that, they talk about they're making $15 an hour and then they're working 2 jobs, and they use that as I'm trying to think of how to expand that mindset. When they settle for that, like I talk to people from home, I'm gonna say what it is. And they say, "Yeah, I'm making $15 an hour, and I got a part-time job doing this, that, or the other." And they're okay with that, not realizing that that's still below the poverty level. I saw a post on Facebook where someone said, if you were making $15 an hour last year, your goal this year should be to make $30 an hour. What would you do? And somebody said, "I would get another job." And I'm like, why is that the automatic thing that somebody would say, to get another job to double their income?
They don't know.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that we, and this is another thing I always tell my staff and tell people, we give people too much credit. We give people too much credit.
Wow.
To be honest with you, and so when we start talking about success, we start talking about success and where you want to be, and every success looks different for everybody. So my thing is what are your goals?
Right.
So based on where you want your goals to be, you're probably not achieving that. So you're not successful to me.
Right.
So my thing is, your success don't look like my success, because you don't want to go to Australia. That don't mean that you're not successful. But even if you wanted to go to Savannah, and you can't make that happen, then you're not successful. If you're not living, your dream. So the thing is that they don't see it no different, because the thing is, when you say they're okay with the $15 an hour, you know why they're okay with $15 an hour? Because they are not around enough people that make 30. Because anybody, you can say what you want. I don't care how much you make. If you're making more than the majority of the people that you're around, you're going to be satisfied with it. But if you was in an environment and you made 100,000, but everybody on your job and everybody you're around made 200, you would have a problem.
Yeah.
You see, 100,000 no longer would be that much money to you, because everybody else is making 200,000.
Yeah.
So that's why, because you don't know no better in that sense. So when you get in a better situation, you normally want to do better. But if I'm around those people that's doing equal to less than me, that's my norm.
Wow.
And most people, once again, norm usually equals average. And I
Yes.
always say more than half of the people in the world are average.
Yes.
And so I'm
Yes.
okay with that because I'm within the status quo. You know, and so that's why that's so comfortable.
You know, you shed some light on me again. when I told you I was working that job and I was making, I think it was $42,000 a year, but that was the most money I ever made. So it didn't bother me what everybody else was making. And I look back at that was my mindset. I was probably even projecting that on where I was at the time financially was better than not only I had ever been, but from the people the environment that I came from, better than they had ever been. So from that perspective, I was good. You see, but when I start going out with those people who was making more than me, and we get to the table, and the bill comes, and everybody's fighting to get their credit card on the table first, and I'm like, I ain't never seen this before. Like, they do this for real? You know, so that began to change my mindset, change my perspective. Like, wow, if I can get in a circle of people that are fighting to pay the bill, as opposed to people who fighting over not to pay.
Bill about to come up. I'm about to run to the restroom. I'm about to run to the restroom.
Right.
You know? Bill ain't on the table yet. Oh, let me catch this call. I'm gonna step out.
You know, you had those folks who well, I only had this, and I only had,
exactly.
They try to.
Yeah.
When I got around those folks, man, and started seeing them do that, that changed my whole perspective. Like, wow, people actually live like this for real. And they're not wildly successful. But they have had an idea of what it's like to actually make money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they know budgeting. They know how to put their money in places to get a return on it.
Yeah.
I never experienced that before.
People think that I'm hard on, when they tell me, well, I'm good, I'm this and that. And I always ask, who are you comparing yourself to? So when you said you compared yourself back to your people in your neighborhood, that's once again, that's when that mentality comes in.
Absolutely.
So when people tell me those things, I say, who are you comparing yourself to?
Right.
Because if you compare yourself to, individuals that are living below the poverty line, individuals that are being average, then that ain't a comparison.
You're right.
That ain't a comparison. Not if you got anything about yourself.
Yes.
But a lot of people, don't make moves because a lot of people, you would, I always say people wouldn't believe how many people's self-esteem comes into play.
Yes.
Self-esteem means a lot. So a lot of people don't think they're worthy of doing certain things because of the environment. So when you start thinking that you're not worthy of it and a self-esteem plan to come into play, then the money gonna be an issue. Wow. Because you don't think you deserve more because of who you are, where you come from. So a lot of times you got to work on you first as a person before the money starts to come. Because the more, one of the things I say is, let me drop this gym right quick.
Man, you killing them, bro. Look, you already got me thinking like, man.
Most people are not a product of their environment. They're a product of their expectation.
Wow.
So if you expect more, you're usually going to get more. So if I don't expect more, then I'm going to probably stay where I'm at. And I always say the thing about me was one of the reasons why I think I've always desired to come out the hood and made it out the hood because I was a product of my expectation and not just the environment. The environment kind of, hampered me and it actually, from a growth standpoint, when you talk about outside of that environment, but I always knew I wanted more. And probably some of it was because my dad lived in California. I did get a chance to see something different and experience different things. So I wanted a little bit more.
Right.
And so because I've always wanted more and said I was going to have my own business, I was going to do those things, my expectations forced me to keep striving as opposed to settling. Even though I saw certain things and I didn't have a lot of examples, but my expectations. So if you don't have expectations of doing greater things, more than likely you're not.
So when y'all see that on the t-shirt, because I'm probably going to go get that t-shirt today. I'm gonna put the little slash that said Brian Joubert said it.
Yeah. Hey, I tell you, but now I don't even need part of your money. Just reinvest it back into helping somebody get that mindset.
Yes, and that's where when we talk about master the money game, man. It's when I thought about the concept of this event that we're doing, I thought about how a lot of times people limit themselves to just the construct of their environment. Mm-hmm. When you say people aren't a product of their environment, they're a product of their expectation. That to me that speaks volumes of what needs to be done to help people change those expectations. So I mean, I don't know, man. We can go on and on. I'm sure we've probably been into this for quite a while now, but I wanna. We can probably wrap here, man, because I don't want you to give too many gems, man. You've been dropping too many gems, man.
I got a whole story, man. But no, the problem is, the thing is that you always have more room because there's not enough people like you that sit down with people like me to really get this information out. Mm-hmm. So I wish I can do more of this.
Okay. All right, we're wrapping now. Okay. Yeah, we was here till 2:00. That's why I was looking at the time. But we good. We'll go ahead and wrap now, so we can let them in. All right, so we'll just do some closing.
But the mastery, man. What you putting together, I think people really, really don't get it. Mm-hmm. Because 95% of the people, when they talk about what they want to do and striving and being successful, it comes back to money.
Yeah.
And when people say money is not everything, you never had money.
Right.
And I say that not in a bad way that, all right, what, I can be greedy, I can be this. But the thing is, if you tell me, well, what I want to do is I want to help the environment, I want to save the planet, I want to help kids, that takes money.
Yes.
That takes money.
Yes.
And I challenge anybody when they say money is not important. I say, go 30 days without money. Go 30 days without money, and I guarantee you, I'm about to say you're going to be on Marta, but you got to buy a Marta card. You got to buy a Marta card. So money is extremely important.
Absolutely.
How you utilize money is the problem. So my thing is that because money for me to buy material things, do that, no, money is not important. But for me to basically now the agenda that I want to do is help people and help businesses and help those things. I need money to do those things.
Definitely.
Money is very important to get shelter, to have heat. So what you're doing and understand how to master it, the more you can keep money or the more of it you can keep, the more you can help yourself and others.
Absolutely.
So that's why mastering it is because it's a game. I keep saying the money, taxes, and credit is a game.
Definitely.
So mastering the money game is crazy because if you don't understand the concept of you working a job, you do 100% of the work and you bring home 50% of the money. If you don't master that, how are you going to live off of 50% of the money when you live in a 100% world?
Wow.
So everything that you buy is at 100%. So I'm going to Publix today, and I'm giving them 50%. When I ring my stuff up at the register, and it says $20, I'm giving them 10. I say, because no, they take 50% of my taxes, so I'm paying you 50% of this bill. Right. No, they want 100%.
They want 100%.
They want 100%. So you bringing home 50% of the money, but everything you doing is at 100.
100%.
It ain't gonna add up, and that's why we live in. They're saying 76% of the people is living paycheck to paycheck.
Wow.
Because we don't understand the money game.
I don't know what else we can say beyond that, folks.
Yeah, and so you got to do that, man, and not just taxes, real estate. Because we got to live, and the bad thing is that I ain't gonna say it's bad, but it's good that we're living longer now.
Yes.
And the number one fear now is people, not outliving their money.
So you saying that people that are changing their eating habits and losing weight and getting in shape and they doing all these things.
Vegan, semi-vegan.
Right.
Yeah.
They did all these things and they're not positioning themselves to live longer.
No, they're not thinking about the money.
Wow.
They position themselves to live longer.
Well, not financially.
Not live longer.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You can live and not live.
Yes. You'll be alive, but you won't be living.
Alive, but you're not living.
Wow.
And so that's why you have 75-year-old people still working 40 hours a week.
Man.
That's why you have people that's retired but can't go nowhere.
Wow.
You know, and so we got to learn to master the money game, man. You got to learn to master. And it's so important that people be at this, because you talk about what you want to do, but it's an investment in yourself. It's self-love. Self-love starts with investing in yourself. So that's financially, spiritually, socially, you know, economically. So the investment. So beginning of the year is just the best way to start it off.
Definitely, definitely. So there you have it, folks. Listen, you heard it from the man himself. I think he gave up too much stuff on the show today, but y'all still got to come to the event because he got a whole lot more to give. So definitely check out the event, Master the Money Game. You can actually register. I believe the link is somewhere above or down below or somewhere around here. MasterTheMoneyGameWorkshop.com. Mr. Brian Joubert's going to be there. We got some other phenomenal people that's going to be in the place. Definitely check it out. I'm asking you like I asked all the other guests that come on to talk about it. Should we give them a discount? It's only $129. Should we?
If they watch this and they say, all right, well, because this was really the mindset cultivated. The information is going to be there.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to make an investment in yourself, I think it's worthy, you know, of, all right, showing some love, because they have invested this part.
Okay.
2 hours of their time.
Okay.
So a small discount, but the thing is, don't ask for discounts.
Right.
Let people offer, you know, because we can't dummy down people's, you know, expertise and stuff, y'all. So,
Definitely,
you know,
definitely.
I'm advocating for y'all because I believe in you.
What you want to give them?
I'm only thinking $20 off.
Okay.
Yeah.
$20 off.
Yeah. If you say you saw this, then yeah, you know, he'll definitely have a code for you.
Yeah. So I tell you what, connect with Brian, connect with myself, inbox either one of us. We'll give you the code, and we'll give you a discount. He said $20. You know, my last guest said don't give y'all anything, but I'm okay with that. But I say make an investment in yourself, because the information in itself, I mean, this show, you know, I would have given him money to come and do what he did today. So we'll see y'all next week. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.
All right.